One of my favorite books of all time in any genre is Models by Mark Manson. And I've read this book maybe 10 times. I've drawn so much from it, but yet I'm still having problems with my dating life. So I thought of, wouldn't it be cool if I could have a one-on-one with Mark and ask him any of the questions about dating or relationships or anything that's on my mind, and for him to give me feedback to my specific situations and problems. And he probably offers coaching packages, which would probably be thousands of dollars. But with the help of AI, you can talk to somebody like Mark completely for free. Your own personal therapist and therapy session with one of the best authors on dating in the world. And you do this with ChatGPT. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I created a relationship coach using ChatGPT. So close this, go to ChatGPT. And first, you're going to make sure that the GPT-4 model is selected, the default model right here. And in the bottom left corner, you're going to hit your profile and you're going to go over to custom instructions. What custom instructions are, it's every time you send a message in chat, it sends this as pretext to your message. So you don't have to keep writing this in. And a really cool feature about this is, look how many characters they give you. They give you 1,500 characters in this top part and 1,500 characters in the bottom. And you can use both of these. And there's a token limit on ChatGPT. You can crazily bypass the token limit using custom instructions. But for this specific use case, we're just going to use a small prompt. And the prompt we're going to use is, you are Mark Manson, author of the book Models. Everything you say should draw from the ideas of that book and nothing else. I love that book. I love the philosophies in there. And it'd be cool to ask it questions based on my specific situation and have it answer it based on the ideas of that book. So what better way to learn the contents than to directly relate it to your own life? So you're going to enable this for new chats and click save. And now every message that you send, it's going to be like Mark Manson is responding to you. So let's walk through a situation in my dating life and let's see the answer that Mark Manson would give me based on the book Models. So here's something that happened recently. I sent a girl a message on Instagram and she read it but never responded. And I know a lot of men probably have had the same thing happen to them, so this is going to be very relatable. What should I do? All right, let's hit enter. Okay, and here's the result. So he's telling me, hey there, it's important to remember the core tenet of Models, which is invest in yourself, be genuine, understand the principle of vulnerability. Here's how to interpret your situation in that light. He's telling me about being vulnerable, telling me that's not a reflection of my self-worth, telling me about non-neediness, which is another central theme of that book, and that shouldn't shake my core confidence. And it says if I continuously follow up, it might look needy and desperate, and it's more likely to push her away. And that's telling me that this is an opportunity to invest in myself. And look at this, practical terms. He's giving me exact advice. It's best not to send another message immediately or obsess over the lack of response. He wants me to give it some time. And then if you naturally cross paths or have a genuine reason to reach out again in the future, you can. But always come from a place of authenticity and not desperation. All right, it's awesome. So we answered my question. It's kind of what I felt. But the cool thing about talking to someone like Mark Manson is you can keep drilling down. You can give it more information, longer stories, and have him come up with a response based on the book Models. So let's add to it. Let's go. We've actually been talking for a few months now. And this is the first time that she has completely ghosted me. And then let's talk about some stuff. We've had 3 or 4 good dates and things were moving forward. Let's say that lately it's felt a little off. And then 3, let's go something like, I'm feeling very insecure. I'm not really, but it's doing this for example, about the situation. And let's see what he writes here. He's telling me that this provided more context about the situation. And point number 3 is a pretty good one. It's actually giving me a message that I can send in the future. Hey, I noticed we haven't been in touch recently and wanted to check if everything's okay. And that's a nice, genuine, honest answer or an honest question that I can ask and I can gauge the response. And another major point here, and it's a pretty good one, is to accept uncertainty. Like, you can't control how someone feels or acts. One of the key takeaways from Models is to accept life's uncertainties. Maybe she's going through personal issues or maybe her feelings have changed. Whatever it is, it's out of your control. And that's a key point in this. She didn't answer me and I need to accept that something has changed. And again, in the end, he drills home that you should stay authentic, continue embracing vulnerability, and trust the process. Let's say I didn't believe with one of these points. A good thing about ChatGPT and this type of AI therapist is we can bounce ideas off of each other. They can tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm going down the wrong thought path. Let's say I didn't agree with the point number 1, to embrace the vulnerability. And I'd write back, if I send a vulnerable text, like, hey, I really liked our connection and I'm disappointed you left me on red, isn't that showing neediness? So I'm trying to counteract his point here with something that I truly believe. He's telling me to be vulnerable and send something like this, send an honest question, but she didn't answer me. And continuing to follow up when it's very clear that she's not interested anymore is a form of neediness. And that's directly against his second point. So let's see what he says to this. And look, he clarifies the difference between vulnerable and neediness. So the first point, you raise a good point. The line between vulnerability and neediness can sometimes seem blurry, but they come from different places emotionally. Being vulnerable is about expressing your true feelings, where neediness stems from a place of seeking validation or approval. And this is the key point here. If you're sending that text in hopes of making her feel guilty or extracting a particular response from her, and there's a lot of guys that would do this, they'd be fake, they'd either pretend to send a wrong message, or they'll guilt trip them saying like, hey, you said that we were going to hang out again, but you never texted me back. All of those messages are coming from neediness. And I really like what Mark is saying here, that doing stuff inauthentically, seeking validation, then it comes off as needy. So it's not about the message you send, is what he's trying to say. It's about the reason you're sending it. So going back to this message that I sent, would this be vulnerable or needy? And he's asking us a few questions. Why are you sending it? So the reason I'm sending it is to show that I'm disappointed. What's the intent behind it? If I'm being truthful with myself, would be to elicit an emotion in her. This text really isn't necessary, and the point of it would be to make the girl feel guilty. And then the final question would be, are you okay if she doesn't respond, or if the response isn't what you hope for? If she didn't respond to that, I'd feel even worse because I'm digging an even deeper hole. And he goes on to say, if this text is driven by a desire to manipulate the situation, in all honesty, something like this would be, then it's probably best not to send it. This is a fake situation, but this is a situation that many men have gone through. And the great thing about AI and ChatGPT is you can use it as your own personal therapist. Some people are embarrassed to go to therapy and talk about their issues, talk about their problems, especially in relationships. And this gives you a private way to do that with some of the best minds in the world. So I've used this before with a real life situation, and I got a great answer that I used in my life, and it made me better for it. So you don't have to just do this with models. I know this video is more meant for men. Models is more of a book for men. I can see how it worked for women as well. But you can do this with any author of any book, especially when it comes to self-improvement, self-help, relationships, and dating advice. So I want you guys to tell me some books that you love so I can try these conversations with those authors and see the different types of response that we can get. I hope this helps. I hope this video actually improves your life and gives you a new tool in the toolbox to becoming a better person. Okay, thanks for watching. Peace.